Radhe Radhe. Today is Saturday, 29th June 2024. Here we are to present you this recap video of today's Bhagavad Gita study session, where we are continuing along in our journey of chapter 9. Along with me is Mummy.
Radhe Radhe.
So bringing up the screen, you'll see that we covered one verse after the usual recap quiz, a lot of essence and takeaways that we're also familiar with, but still so much to learn always. So chapter 9, verse 14. And again, as I said, after our recap quiz, which covered the content from last time, that was 2 weeks ago, chapter 9, verses 12 and 13. Perhaps a few slightly tricky or difficult worded, interesting questions, hopefully. So do check out the description for this video to get these slides you're seeing on the screen, and so that you can try those quiz questions one time or again as well. With that, we're going to look at chapter 9, verse 14.
Satatam kirtayanto mam yatantascha dridhavrataha namasyantascha mam bhaktya nityayukta upasate.
So chapter 9, verse 14, the catchphrase here is sensible singing. As we explained in class, two things you want to look at this from this one. So of course, there's alliteration, sensible just in the usual sense of the word or usual usage of the word, as in, normal, proper, something that's suitable or appropriate, but also more importantly, singing that invokes and involves all of our knowledge senses. So sensible singing. That is, of course, kirtan, as we learned in class and are now going to see through this video. So chapter 9, verse 14, sensible singing, Sri Krishna says several aspects or attributes of, from last time, chapter 9, verse 13, the great souls who, of course, have their minds fixed exclusively on him. So the attributes, the traits, the activities they follow are they're singing Sri Krishna's divine glories. And not just singing, but always singing. As Mummy had explained in class, satatam, always. So always singing Sri Krishna's divine glories. Then putting in effort, hard work, nothing comes free. So striving with great determination. And again, determination, as we reminded you well before from chapter 2, that single-pointed aim and focus, right? Focus exclusively on God. And very, very important, bowing down before God. How? Humbly. Humility is extremely essential. So humbly bowing down before him, which again is not just a physical act, but that whole intrinsic internal nature of humility that we are all trying to cultivate. So having and paying that obeisance to God, and then performing worship, constantly worshiping Sri Krishna in loving devotion. Several, different themes or takeaways that we mentioned in class, different ways to summarize them. But of course, the main essence here is kirtan. We talked at length about that, and we see Swamiji's commentary at length for it. So kirtan is one of the big practices for great souls to engage in devotion. We often have heard Nam Roop, Leela Gun Dham, Sant. So, singing glories of the names, forms, qualities, pastimes, abodes, and associates of God. That is what is kirtan. Swamiji tells us that it is a threefold process: Shravan, which is hearing; kirtan, which is the actual chanting; and smaran, which is remembering. All these have to be done in tandem together to really get the most benefit and bliss out of taking part in kirtan. We did see chapter 6, the connection that the mind is as restless as the wind, a question that Arjun had asked, and Sri Krishna had answered that, yes, it is, but it's not impossible to control. It is difficult, but it's not impossible, right? So difficult means we can eventually overcome that, and that is going to happen, as Swamiji says, through kirtan, and that is where the knowledge senses are being used, as Mummy also had explained in class. In fact, if you remember, we also covered the flyer, which is showing over here. The face is missing. It's really representing here the mind, perhaps, the wind taking over. The mind is as restless as the wind. And the question was, how does the mind, restless as the wind, wind up, wind up worshiping God in loving devotion. So a play on the pronunciation as well, two different forms here. Answer, of course, being at the bottom right, instruments of kirtan. And of course, you can use stringed instruments as well, which you also wind up, but it helps us wind up in the direction of God. So that is something to keep in mind visually. So how all that happens then is that there are certain benefits that come out of it. We see Swamiji telling us about how we don't get overwhelmed by sleep. We see the benefit of mass participation, the divine vibrations, the energy and auspiciousness that it provides. I'd also mentioned in class the live benefit that I get to hear about, at least with Mummy at home, right? When she and I are not able to, let's say, walk outside on a day that is extremely, extremely hot. She'll still be doing her kirtan, her bhakti, and then her smartwatch tells her she's met and well exceeded her steps goal for the day. I would never believe that for a long time, and then finally understood that yes, that intensive clapping, it's generating activity as well, and it's counting towards even physical activity goals. So another benefit you see from an exercise standpoint. We talked extremely briefly just the names of the different saints because we'll get to benefit in hearing the nectar of their poetry and wisdom through Swamiji's retreats and the upcoming family camp. So throughout the year 2024, Swamiji has been covering and will cover more on the different saints. And then, of course, Mummy had mentioned she'll do shortly perhaps all the different verses, these different shlokas, tunes, and meters that help provide one categorical summary. In this age of Kali, it is only Kirtan that is going to take us across this material ocean. Finally, as Swamiji said, the aspects of hearing and chanting are helpers, but we have to always remember to remember God, if that helps. So we have to get our mind purified. Kirtan will not purify the mind if the mind is elsewhere. Therefore, again, the very essential aspect of fixing our mind on God, always remembering God whenever we are practicing Kirtan. Mummy, I'll pass it over to you to enlighten us on one or more important Sanskrit words and also then give us a little bit of flavor of Kirtan, no doubt. Before that, I just almost forgot the English word to add to your English dictionaries. We have covered before, but nevertheless, extol, which is to praise, especially to praise highly. So the example Swamiji gives is the Vedic scriptures praise highly or they extol Kirtan as the simplest process in this age of Kali. Previously, we have seen that the scriptures, of course, extol God. They praise God, of course, extremely highly. So, Mummy, over to you for your comments.
Yeah, so very beautiful, sweet verse, which is telling us the importance of Kirtan, and that too through Krishna. Krishna is telling Arjuna. Krishna is saying that the saints, the elevated souls, this is how they would engage their mind and in Kirtan and attach their mind to God. So Kirtan should be satata, very important. Satata means constantly, always. And yes, I have noticed if you do it very often, finally, even doing any other activity, at the back of your mind, that Kirtan goes on. Hari Hari Bol, Bol Hari Bol. Hari Hari Bol, Bol Hari Bol. So, engaging your mind and engaging all your senses, listening, chanting, remembering, exclusive devotion to God, along with Roop Dhyan, that is what Kirtan is all about. And Kripaluji Maharaj has written beautiful Kirtans in Madhuri that talk about God's Roop, Leela, Gun, Dham, names, forms, qualities, abodes, associates of God, Sant. So, Kirtan is a full package of exercise. Clapping really keeps your blood pressure also in control and your sugar levels also in control. I have really checked out this many times. And Kirtan does not let you sleep, because usually you are engaging all your senses. So then you don't sleep because you are rigorously clapping also. And many times you are doing with other devotees. So Shravan, Kirtan, and Smaran, all three things go hand in hand. And lots of our Vedic scriptures praised or extolled Kirtan. It is the simplest and most powerful process of devotion, and that too in the present age of Kali. In previous ages, it was different things like meditation or doing lots of bhakti. But in this age of Kali, Krishna is saying that Kirtan is the most important way of doing bhakti. So let's see. Swamiji has quoted from Bhagavatam, Adhyatma Ramayana, Vaishampayan Samhita. So let's see those verses. It says, Krite yadhyayato Vishnu Tretayam yajato makhaihi Dvapare paricharyayam Kalau tadhari kirtanat. Then from Adhyatma Ramayana it says, Avikari va sarvadoshaika bhajanaha Paramesha paramam yati Ramanamanu kirtanat. Then from Vaishampayan Samhita, all these scriptures are saying that Kirtan is the best tool of engaging your mind with God. So here it says, Sarva dharma bahir bhutaha Sarva papa ratasthatha Muchyate natra sandeho Vishnur namanu kirtana. And finally, from Ramayana, it says, Kalijug keval hari gun gaha, gavat nar pavahi sab bhavathaha. That means in this age of Kali, there is only one means of salvation. How? By engaging in the chanting of the glories of God. And that is how one can cross over this material ocean. So Kirtan, and Kirtan, along with Roop Dhyan, and of course, along with humility. Humility means really feeling that I am the least of all. Oh God, I am the most fallen of all. That is how you purify your mind and keep your critics near you, who can keep on telling you your defects, and because of that you keep on purifying your mind, and with exclusive devotion engage your mind in kirtan with God. Over to you, Gagan.
Yeah, thank you, Mummy. And in fact, humbly bowing before God, or humility, that's a very important element, as you mentioned. I'll take us to our slides, which I hope many of you are more and more familiar with. On the slide that says in your spare time, we always have a few links that have videos, reference material that are, specific to that week's content. So of the few videos this time, one of them is one that Bilji has sent us. He sent it yesterday, and it's a short lecture by Maharajji, and it talks about humility being the most important. So please do take a look at that amongst all the other things as well, and keep that in mind for your notes, your practice, perhaps even for the recap quiz. And in fact, speaking of recap quiz, we won't have that next week, of course, because of the family camp that we certainly hope all of you, many of you, are inspired to attend in person or online. And as Mummy had said in class as well, will truly get the benefit and life practice of kirtan and enhancing that devotion amongst all the different activities there. So 4th July through 10th July 2024, that's the family camp at the Radha Krishna Temple of Dallas, or online if you cannot make it in person. Therefore, our next Bhagavad Gita study session will be in 2 weeks, which is Saturday, 13th July, 2024. Use whatever time you have, practice, revisit your notes, learn everything, and we look forward to seeing you there. Till then, thank you so much. Radhe Radhe.
Radhe Radhe.